Ой, это важная штука. Ну давайте. Ой, ходите, разговаривайте, ходите, махайте руками. Мобиль не выключу. Так сильно восхожу, что я одразу все знала. Вот ты обличатель.
Ну что, спикеры собрались, да, я думаю, что мы можем начинать. Да. Всем добрый вечер. Итак, наша встреча сегодня называется New Voice for Kharkiv, Join the Conversation, да, и сегодня мы обсуждаем проект создания англоязычного информационно-аналитического сайта в рамках инициативы Kharkiv Going Global. Подробнее расскажут организаторы. Еще раз добрый вечер, пожалуйста. Вам слово. И большая просьба, выключайте телефоны, потому что вот
полностью
так вот...
Выключайте.
Ну, если...
Да лучше полностью.
В общем, решайте сами, но вот такие звуки...
Это вы. Это ваши звуки.
А это мой, да. А это мой. Да, пожалуйста. И говорите в микрофоны. Кнопочку можно нажать, вот он горит, и тогда... Да, да.
Я уже спробовала. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we are pleased to see you at our presentation. We invited you to discuss how the new voice of Kharkiv should sound. Since our target audience is English-speaking community, we'd like to have this meeting in English mostly. On the other hand, So the idea to search the new voice for Kharkiv hasn't come out of the blue. Hopefully many of you know the Facebook page called Kharkiv Today. We started it in March 2014, and we always thought of the ways to improve. So we decided to launch English language website featuring news, blogs, and information about life and work in Kharkiv. It aims to help foster the city's European integration topics relevant to a European audience. The site also serves as an information platform for the Kharkiv Going Global initiative, a project that helps local business gain international scopes and encourages the emergence of new international projects in Kharkiv. International Renaissance Foundation supported us through the 3 months grant, and we appreciate that. As some of you may have heard, there is also a press center called Kharkiv Today, and we would like to clarify that our project is not related to the press center. At the moment, our team is in the process of coming up with another name for the website. This meeting aims at informing you about our project and inviting you to join our efforts to take part in it. Let me introduce our team. Taras Danko, Tatiana Chernetska, Joseph Plummer, who's sitting over there, and Elena Roskazova, who is not part of our team but is the head of IRF regional office in Eastern Ukraine.
That's me.
And I'm Anastasia Makarenko, and I'm the project manager. My colleagues will provide you with the details on the concept behind the project and website structure, and also will identify potential areas of cooperation. Then we plan to have questions and answer session and some group work. Promise it won't be long. So now I give the floor to Mrs. Roskazova.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll speak English. Started. Добре. So I'll continue in Kharkiv, and he proposed to create such a page. And I didn't agree because I asked, why Kharkiv? Why not Donbass? Because, you know, there was a strict situation with ATO in Donbass at that time. So we didn't believe that Kharkiv could be the place of whole Europe and all over the world is paid attention of, but then the idea of Kharkiv Going Global took place, and after that the idea of creating such a website became real, and I paid attention that all my friends from all over the world, from Turkey, Denmark, the United States, when they came to Kharkiv, they said, oh, you've got so many interesting sites and events in Kharkiv. In Donbass, and I can tell you that everyone, for example, in Germany is afraid of Kharkiv because it's next to Donbass, and they're afraid to come here. So probably it's our aim to show them that it's safe here, yeah, and we can show them, and we've got a lot of art galleries, museum, so on and so forth. And I can tell you that especially Europeans, they are much interested in the events of Kharkiv now, but unfortunately they don't have a possibility, and that's why we decided to finance this website to give a possibility for people all over the world to learn about Kharkiv, Kharkivitis, not from the view of Western journalists, because it can be different, yeah, but of ourselves. And after giving such a possibility, we hope that Kharkiv would be a center of cultural life, of global life, and even this week, so let's analyze this week. We had the lecture about European Kharkiv yesterday of Max Rosenfeld. Today we've got music camp. Then today there was a press conference before it in this press center about Ed Camp, an international, you know, event for tutors and teachers. Then we've got a lot of master classes, a lot of different festivals of different approaches, yeah, and including cultural, religious. That's why we have what to show people and what to write about. And we hope that it gives us possibility to announce that people can come here, and it can be not only the students and cultural center, but it can be the international center of tourism in the eastern Ukraine. So it's possible, and I hope that you'll join the project, and you'll be the people who will write the news and probably your blogs on this website, because I hope Nastya or Tatiana will mention it.
Like this community didn't know anything about Kharkiv. It was like Professor Schlögel from Germany, he said that Kharkiv is not on the mental map of Europe at all. So we actually, it was like a joint effort of Tatiana, Anastasia and me, because the idea was that we have to start talking in English, telling in English from Kharkiv, about Kharkiv. There were at that time also some other initiatives, for instance, the address of Kharkivites in English, that Kharkiv is against Russian aggression, against annexation of Crimea. At that time, for instance, the rectors of the universities appealed in a joint statement that Kharkiv universities are also condemning Russian aggression into Crimea, but this was only in Ukrainian and Russian language. It was available only in Kharkiv. And nobody in the world knew that there is a position in Kharkiv that is addressed by Kharkiv community, that Kharkiv is considers itself as the city belonging to Ukraine. It also considers itself as a city that supports and is motivated to go in this European direction. The choice is the choice of Kharkiv. So we started this web page, and eventually through all those 2 years, that was actually mostly Tatiana and the who were supporting it. As you remember, I also came up with the idea, maybe some of you know about that, Kharkiv Going Global, and the idea in general is that Kharkiv, as a big city, that it is actually 18th by size in Europe. If we count Istanbul, St. Petersburg and Moscow as Europe, so Kharkiv is 18th in Europe, and by size. And such a big city should have a global impact, global agenda. It has to have global projects. Everything that we do in Kharkiv should have somehow have a European. Just the examples, 2 days ago we did in Kharkiv Polytechnic University for site session in 3D printing, and for instance in this participated our representatives of our university and also some other Kharkiv universities. But if we would, from the very beginning, would think in terms of advertising this event to Ukraine and globally, then we would have 2 times more maybe participants and make this really an event of higher impact and importance. So this is, by this example, I think that Tatiana will show more about the topics that that our website is going to present. But the major idea is that when I am about the idea of Kharkiv going global to people from other countries west to Ukraine, for all of them it's clear. Do everything. One or two examples, but really to have a resource that would combine all the efforts, mostly that are done in Kharkiv, and international important. It's not that something done in Kharkiv about Europe for Kharkiv. Maybe it's interesting, but it's not interesting in Germany or United Kingdom. What we have to do is to show so the idea is to make this website point in some sense, monitoring what is happening in this Kharkiv Going Global initiative. And we are inviting all. Actually, what we lack in Kharkiv, this is, as we mentioned from the beginning, the content that we do about Kharkiv in English language. And it would be great if by joining this effort together with us, many other people in Kharkiv would get this experience of creating content in English, then they would start or improve their own projects where they have their sites, newspaper, media, and Kharkiv. Actually, my dream is that it would not be only one site about Kharkiv in English, but it would be dozens of sites telling different views, so that people would from abroad they're afraid not of Kharkiv and not of the news. They're afraid that they just don't know, that they have no source of information, and actually plural, so that they could check by independent sources what is happening in Kharkiv and who is doing what in Kharkiv. So as soon as we will have several independent media in Kharkiv in English telling what is happening here, I think that more Germans would be not afraid to come here. And the final, I think that we have the next word will have Tatiana Chernetskaya, and I just want to emphasize that we are grateful for Change Agency Perspectiva for administering this project, and I think that Tatiana will tell more about that. Thank you.
Is it okay? Okay. Good evening. I would like to tell a little bit more about details, not about the concept, but what we are going to do right now, and how we see you, all of you, maybe not all of you, as a participator, as a contributors in this, for this site. So, the approximate structure of this site, as for today, it's only 5 so-called desks: society, business, politics, science, and culture. So, if you're interested in these, working on these desks, or in contribution, or maybe your organization is dealing with some interesting project in business, and you would like to attract some investors, so you are welcome to communicate with us. Also, as Yelena also mentioned, it will be 2 sections, news and opinions, or blogs in English, as you like this called. So that some of you can write in English. Not, we would like to have some English text not to translate. We plan, as for today, that we will translate some information, maybe some basic information about Kharkiv, about these 5 sections, but only for the beginning. And after that, we would like to have people in different sectors who are able to write in English and to provide information in English. So, roles that we see in this project. Editor-in-chief, so person who will be responsible for the maybe main direction for the development, for the policy, and for the whole maybe structure of this website. News writer, as for today, we hope to find 2 persons who are able to write news in English, and for these 3 months we have salary for these people, so we don't think these people as volunteers. So if you are ready to do this, or maybe you know some persons who could do this function, please contact us also. Blogger, as we told before, we have already seen people who we consider as really bloggers who can write in English and who can provide interesting opinion from Kharkiv. So. As Nastya and I can see, it's, for example, Taras Danko, he has a lot of ideas and he could write them in English, so he would be the first person here, and we hope that you will join him. Maybe Elena Reshetnyak, who is also has great experience, experience in business, in consulting, and she can medical reforms and other. So we can see that you have a lot of idea also to share with our foreign readers. Also, as for these 3 months, as I have already mentioned, we need translators, so people who will we will pay them from this IRF funding, and we need a very good level of English language. Not just we do this, we can do something by ourselves, but we need person who will do this by on professional level. Also, we need photographers. As I can understand, as for a proofreader, we have a good, very good friend, Joe. He has already agreed to help us with this, but he is not able to proofread all texts, but he will, as I understand, is it okay or not, Joe? He agrees to provide maybe some special advices, provide some ideas, some direction, maybe some patterns, and he would be some kind of an advisor of English language development and English language benchmark for this website. And one more contributors and desk coordinator. Who are these people? We have, as I already said, 5 desks. And we need 5 desk coordinator for each of these desks. As we discussed among themselves, we think that this person should be interested in development of these sectors. I mean, development science here in Kharkiv, or culture, or society. So at the beginning of this project, all of us, we will be responsible for one of these desks, but we hope that among you there are some very active people who are really interested in development of these sectors in Kharkiv. Maybe not only this, maybe another one also, so you're welcome to join. And also, who are contributors? Contributors are representatives of organizations, NGOs, or maybe private sectors, or governmental sectors who can provide some news or some information about the activities. So, in briefly, that is. So, if you have questions, please ask.
Actually, a few words about contributors. It's not only representatives. I think that it could be also just people who are willing to write. So the model would be like this. On one hand, we would have this desk team that will have to establish the relations within the community. For instance, there is a strong culture community in Kharkiv, in the sense that there are people doing excellent things in theater, in museums, in art, and in other directions of culture. But this is done in Kharkiv, and somehow we are not promoting this internationally enough. So these people maybe are not ready to write about this in English, but at least they are ready to tell if somebody asks them. And the contributors will be a little bit different people, so that those people maybe are not enough so connected. For instance, that we see in this role as a young man or woman student, for instance, who says that I'd like to write about culture in English because I want people in the world to know what is happening here. For instance, we had the project also Kharkiv Going Global, and there were those young people who really students of the third year or fourth year in the university who were really interested in promoting the culture in Kharkiv, and some of them might be interested to write about what's happening here, but for them it would be problematic to approach all people who are doing something. So the desk will help them to approach. Maybe Joe will help them also to think. Maybe we'll have something like a seminar for such people, or how to write, basics of journalism, and then they could go on and make their own story, and this story could be published. So on one hand, that could be authors, contributors, and on the other hand, of course, that could be people representing the organizations. For instance, like we have here in Kharkiv IT cluster. They're doing a lot of things, so maybe some of them would be interested to write about what's happening there, or European Business Association we have in Kharkiv, some other organizations that do a lot, and they just can contribute telling what's happening there. That's also one of the ways to be contributors. I am talking so much about contributors because this is very important, actually. If we manage to build this desk and contributors relationship, this is the essential of the project. Then we will make it really go. Because this is not, this is a media that we see as a modern media. It's not an old-style journal where there is a team who are writing and get money for that. That's really the community. The idea is to have this really a community resource, that people in Kharkiv could have an access to that, to share the information through this resource globally. Thank you.
And I also think that it will be interesting to learn the opinion of experts. I see some of them even here in this press center, because they see Kharkiv from their own point of view, but at the same time they live here, and they can give people the knowledge about Kharkiv. Not only as tourists, but the realities, you know, and probably the results of voting, I mean, yesterday in Holland would be different if we had more such websites, not only in Kharkiv, but in Kyiv and Poltava and Vinnytsia and Lviv, Odessa and other cities.
Okay, so questions, please. Please.
Hello. So local authorities, excuse me, how do you evaluate the possibility of local politicians or city authorities or state authorities to share the information in English? Have you maybe some kind of agreement with political parties, branches that if they're ready to write about even themselves or about their point of view on some local problems in English, or our politicians or parties as usual are sleeping between the elections? Thank you.
Okay. I think that in such a resource, what should be the must for a moment is to cover what is happening with reforms in Kharkiv. To have, I mean, talking about Ukraine. They see Kharkiv as part of Ukraine. What's happening here? What's happening in Kharkiv? And they want to have more or less holistic picture. And at the moment, the holistic picture is as following. First, we have to fight corruption. I mean, looking from the international point of view. Second, we embarked into ambitious program of reforms. Do you deliver anything here? That's two questions. And those are political questions. Of course, we have nice culture, we have super fine science here in Kharkiv, but the world at the moment is focused on what's happening here. So, and I think that this resource, this media, Kharkiv Going Global, can be also as the media in this political part, monitoring actually the political debate around these reforms. If they really are happening, what's the position of different authorities, and talking about reforms, when the international donors' interest is also in helping us to do the reforms here. They want to understand who are doing the reforms, who are the stakeholders in particular areas of the reforms, and they are interested and they understand that here we have many contradictions. And they want to have a mapping. For instance, if this is medical reforms, we mentioned already, it's clear that there are different actors in these reforms, and for international community, they just cannot understand who is making what decisions. So, and it would be fine to bring to this resource stories somehow highlighting the major actors of this process. And I would think that this also will make our politicians and authorities more mature in European and international sense, because in politics in international that we actually want to level up to is...
but if some of them, like you have mentioned local authorities, yeah, about the events and published, but I think that everybody here knows the answer for this question, that sometimes even the materials in Ukrainian is not of high quality. It's, like Taras needs to, it's our aim to have the info of upper level, and even this crisis info center, and the fact that the press conference is going as a hope that, for example, will be in English, and our local authorities will speak English fluently, giving the floor to them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. If that answered that. Yes, please. Oh.
Video, Вікторія Склярова, Ukrainian Club of Slobozhanщина. Отже, I would like to ask you if, for instance, I'm going to present, make a video and put into your website or not, or we should make small news like what, where, and why? Thank you. What format?
We are gonna discuss this a bit later. We definitely we're open to cooperation, and we'd love to place such information there. But as for the details, we'll discuss it a bit later. Today, yeah.
Actually, I have quite a few questions, but anyway, taking a little bit further what was said before. Have you got a policy in place, a policy developed, editorial policy, so that you could have some guidelines to justify your actions when you either accept or reject any materials coming to your resource? Because it may be the case when you have some article or piece of information which you entirely disagree with, either from the point of view of your political views or emotions, whatever. So have you got such a policy developed, or this is yet to be done? One more question. How do you see your resource developed, say, in 6 months' time or in a year? Do you plan that far?
Okay, so obviously, as we've been doing this Facebook page for 2 years, we do have the editorial policy 1.0. For the website, it'll be evolving and developing and enhancing. And as for the long-term or like mid-term, long-term perspective, actually it's not that long-term, but a bit longer than just 3 months. I think Taras will answer that question, right?
Actually, about policy, I would add that, of course, from the very beginning, the policy was that we were basing the fact-checking approach, so the facts should be checked, and we were from the very beginning balancing the information, so it was not to avoid propaganda approach. So, for instance, when there were hard days 2 years ago for Kharkiv, the information was there as well about what different people do in Kharkiv, so that really we wanted to have the resource that would be balanced. So it would really cover different views somehow. And that, I think, is also important to keep, and that's why actually we really are planning to be an independent resource, and that's why we are changing the name at the moment, because we need an independent to be independent further. Further talking about the future of policy, editorial policy, this is a very important question. I think that the role of desks will be important, because the desks and their should work in not work. It's not right. Should be in a good contact with the community that or would say clusters, for instance, in some areas that are news making, and the desks really have to think in strategic terms what we are talking about here in Kharkiv and what we want to emphasize. At least one clear editorial guideline is about Kharkiv Going Global, because we want to, from the very beginning, to show that some events and developments are happening that have an international and global scale here in Kharkiv. But this is general. What does it mean for instance, to develop guidelines for culture part. This is really a tricky thing, especially I've just took a look at the project of culture collaboration between European Union and neighborhood countries. They wrote that Georgia, for the first time among the Eastern partners of European Union, embarked to develop the cultural strategy for the country. And they say this is really an ambitious thing to do because nobody is doing this in the countries like Moldova, Belarus, Ukraine, Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia at least is trying to do this. So it's clear that, for instance, talking about cultural policy in Kharkiv, cultural strategy for Kharkiv, it's also the question of what we want to highlight. So this is the question of the desk. And about the development, again, the major thing is really to have the desks integrated, maybe the right word, not even involved in collaborating and with what is happening in these particular areas that they are covering in Kharkiv, making these desks really the voice of these particular sectors of Kharkiv, and this is the major, I think, idea for the next year. So that if we really can achieve this, if we really can sustain this, then this is, I think, that will be actual, maybe even the unique project for not only for Ukraine but also for in European scale. So why not? Because we claim that we're a global city, then we have to show leadership, then we have to experiment and to look for new ways to do so. If we succeed in this, I think that would really be something that will be differentiating us from others, and maybe on this we could build further strategies. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, then thank you for your questions. And now Tatiana will introduce you to our next activity.
We would like to invite you to participate in some activities. As you see, we have 5 desks. So if you're interested in contribution in any way of one of these desks, please tell about this. We will have 5 persons who is responsible for different desks. Taras Danko, you are responsible for business. So, who are interested in developing this desk, please come to Taras.
Participate.
Yeah, and he will tell you what you should do. Society, it's me. Science, Serежа Prokopenko. Sergei Prokopenko and Taras Danko will tell you a bit about this activity. Culture, Anastasia. Culture, yeah. And politics, Joe. Yeah. So, please, if you are not interested in this, so thank you for participation, and we don't want to waste your time. But if you're interested,
will help Joe because in politics there are sections. So.
Okay, thank you.
I think it will be connected with reforms, because especially decentralization reform is a very difficult project. I should confess. Sorry.
And I think and we will do that like this. So each of us will have what, flip chart or what, Tatiana? Yeah. So each of us will have something like a flip chart, and we will distribute evenly through this. And I think that actually, how we can do that, it's not that you have to be only in one place. So you can walk, join, ask questions, see what's happening, then maybe move to another part of that, and somehow, and I think that Tatiana also Did you already announce the question about questionnaire?
No.
Because I think this is connected. Yeah.
The questionnaire will be on the table where you've already registered. And
So we see the procedure, it's should be quite informal, and the idea is really to self-organize ourselves. So you understand who is responsible for what, we will be standing at different parts of that, you will join, you will ask questions, then you can go, and finally you make your decision, you take the questionnaire and you write in the questionnaire how you see your role, in what sections, and you are interested to participate, so that we will contact you later. And of course, you can also leave your business cards, and when talking within these particular groups. Okay, thank you.